Welcome to another Straight Up Tuesday tip. I'm 𝗤𝗁𝗀𝗀. With me as always is 𝗬𝘃𝗶𝗵𝗁. And with us again, 𝗬𝗵𝗶𝗵𝗫 Pavlovcik. It's been a while. You were episode 97. Welcome back. Good to have you.
Yeah, thanks for having me back, guys. I'm happy to be here.
All right, and he's calling us from his brand new office there, looking good in the background.
Appreciate it. Yeah, we're happy to be in the new space. Definitely a lot better fit for us.
Awesome. Well, congrats on the continued expansion. So, Samuel, we've had a couple questions come in of where can I find this? Where can I, is it in an ADU? How can I find if I'm in a transit district? There's been a lot of questions, and most of you can find just on the zoning site the City of Chicago provides. We're talking within city limits here. So we wanted to walk through an example for our listeners here of all the information that's out there that you can take advantage of. And Samuel, being an expert on this, is going to dumb it down for us and walk us through. So without further ado, we're going to turn the reins over to the master.
Yeah, the City of Chicago has a lot better online resources and tools than a lot of the surrounding towns and villages. Obviously, they've got more resources, so they've really put something together that actually works quite well. I'm going to share my screen so that way you guys can hopefully see. You guys can see my screen here?
I can. For those of you that are listening to us on iTunes, please visit Straight Up Chicago Investor YouTube, and you can watch this video in full and follow us along as well.
There you go. So first thing to do, honestly, is just Google Chicago zoning map. They do have a direct link. It will be this first one, citychicago.gov. It's gisapps.chicago.gov. Not a very handy title, but if you Google it, pops up as terms and conditions, and usually you'll have to accept just to view the map. But once you log on and click into it, this is the map that it's going to pull you into. The first thing you're going to do is just punch in your property address. So with that, I'm going to use, Tom, I'm going to use one of your properties as an example. This is going to be 908 West Addison.
Oh, now I'm going to have visitors, unwanted guests coming over.
There you go. So just did the search, just hit enter, it pulled it in. And you'll see this little pinpoint drops relatively close, and that's really all it gives you. That being said, you can see the pinpoints actually on 906. We actually want 908. Once you click on the map and click on the property, it will pop up with this little green dot. And then on this left side here, it's going to show a bunch more info on the property itself. That being said, I do like to Google and double check sometimes for the property. I have seen this zoning map mislabeled for the property address numbers where they were skewed by a building. So, that can obviously make a difference if we're the second or the third one in from the corner. If you go on Google, double check it, do a street view, look at the property address, whatever it might be, make sure you're clicking on the right lot. Don't always 100% rely on that. That being said, again, once you click on the lot, it pulls up some general info on the left here. You can see there's some hatching and dots and everything like that. Right on top, it says RM5. That is your zoning designation. So that's great zoning in terms of a multi-unit residential use. This would allow you one residential unit by right for every 400 square feet of lot area. So
and for those, real quick, just to interrupt, for those not familiar with that, we have the zoning cheat sheet, which Samuel put together for us 2 years ago. Go to the site and download it. It helps. If you've never used it before, it'll help explain what you can legally have on that lot line by right before asking for any sort of zoning change or any sort of ADU assistance.
Absolutely. So looking at the info on here, when you scroll through on the left, there's actually quite a bit of useful information that already pops up. So it says zoning district, it says RM5. ADU area, it does say you're in the North ADU zone. So that's what these kind of dotted hatching is. A lot of times it'll also pop up on here if you are in a Chicago landmark district or a historic district or anything like that. Just to note for everyone, Illinois historic districts or something like that, the city doesn't really care about. It's really anytime you see Chicago landmark district, that's when things will matter. Or also when you see this kind of either orange outline building or red outline building, something like that. So that in terms of historic buildings, that's kind of what you'd be looking for. So we can see on here, we know it's RM5. We know it's in the North ADU area. It even gives the pin. It doesn't give the separation or dashes or anything like that, but at least it's on there. So this is at least some nice general information about your property, right? Now at least can confirm what the zoning is. The other thing I can do on here, as I scroll to the bottom on the left here, is if I click map layers, you can actually turn on some sub layers onto this map. So the two that I like to use are the lot lines and dimensions, which you can see now it popped up some extra numbers on here. This is saying 125, this is 56.6, this is 50, but you can kind of see these are kind of bridged across a couple lots. So the other one I'll also turn on is the parcel lines / dimensions. And now you can kind of see this is giving actually some dimensions of your lots. So I'll usually go onto the zoning map and check on here first. That being said, take this with a grain of salt. It's not always 100% accurate. You really, the only way to fully verify is with a plat of survey. But at least from a reference perspective, you can kind of take a look. So I can see, this said 50, but it's kind of on the line, and that says 25, 25, right? So maybe 906 and 908 were combined as one lot at some point. I don't know, but I can look, 908 is listed as 25 wide. I can look on the right side of the block, left side of the block. They're both saying 125. So I can say, okay, it's probably 125 by 25, standard lot, 3125 square feet. So I know what I'm kind of working with. So again, super helpful. It can obviously vary. You can see across the street, there's some narrow lots and some unique things going on. Another thing that's been going on with the city with the whole TSL expansion, which has, limited the deconversion to single family for any RT and RM districts and things like that. That is in response to these TSL districts. So on the right-hand side of the map, you can scroll through, again, extra layers and things that you can turn on and off. And you can see there's TSL rail station, TSL bus route. So if you want to see if you may happen to not be within one of those, and I say it that way because right now I'd say probably 90 or 95% of the city is now within those TSL ranges.
And then what's the benefit of being within that range for our listeners? Why would I care?
What does TSL stand for as well, too?
TSL is for transit served locations. And in the recent expansion of the ordinance, they doubled the distance to the L stations, and then they also included any main bus corridors. And basically what they're doing there is they're trying to promote further density. But one of the big issues that it's caused for a lot of our clients is as soon as you are above a RS3 district, so once you get into the RT and RM, they are no longer allowing for either the deconversion to a single family home or the new construction of a single family home. So if you are in the RT or RM districts, which are multi-unit residential districts, it used to be, hey, you are putting in less units than what's allowed, so that's fine. Now they're actually restricting it that you cannot establish a new either single dwelling unit or single family home, even through a deconversion from a 2-unit down to single family. They're going to restrict that. So I'm going to zoom out on the map here, and I'm going to turn on these TSL rail stations and TSL bus routes, and you'll see pretty quickly, for the entirety of Chicago. So these are the rail stations. So you can see it's really following, the CTA lines. You turn on the bus routes. These are all the main bus corridors, which again is huge. When you turn them both on, if you're really lucky and you're into one of these tiny little pockets or something like that, maybe you have an opportunity, but you can see it really covers a huge amount of space in the city.
Now, glass half full though, let's say you're looking to add units to your building, whether it be by right or a zoning change, if you're in the TSL, does that negate having to add additional parking spaces, or does it at least help your cause?
Yes, there is also an expansion to one of the ordinances about some parking where now they're actually only requiring 50% of the parking that would otherwise be required. So if you have a 4-unit building where you would have previously been required to have 4 parking spaces, now it can actually be reduced down to 2, even without some form of administrative adjustment or extra zoning process.
Good stuff.
Absolutely.
What else? Anything else we should know about this map?
Yeah, I mean, I just honestly, I think it's a great and handy tool. Keep an eye out for some of these little hatchings and unique areas, right? This with the little stars, a lot of that is some kind of overlay district. So this is the Wrigley Field adjacent area. Another one would be like the 606 overlay. So a lot of times those have some special requirements for those specific areas, even though, oh, hey, this is RT4, but it's within, this Wrigley Field adjacent, special district. So there might be supplemental requirements for that. And you can see on here, oh, now it's also on a Chicago historic resource survey. Maybe there's some concerns related to that. Also, anytime you see one of these green boxes with this hatching, that usually means that there was some kind of zoning variation that was done on the property. If you click onto there, and again, when you click on the property and see the information, you'll see ZBA ordinance 330-22Z, 331-22Z. So essentially, this is listing a bunch of different zoning variations that happened on this property. And if you ever want to actually look up what that variation is, the 22 is the year that the variation happened. So this would have been in 2022. The variation number is this first, the 330, 331, 332. If you click on one of these, it will pull you to this other zoning site. And as I said, that was 2022. They are grouped by month. The only downfall to that is, well, I don't know where 330 was in terms of the zoning reviews, but I know it's not going to be, January, February. It's probably going to be later in the year. So I can try and find, maybe in November, this will kind of open up and you'll start to scroll through and you'll see, so this is 42621S. S would be for special use. Z is for zoning variation. But you can kind of scroll through and you'll start to see some consistent numbers. So 40722S, this is still part of 407.
This is beneficial. If you're going to go get a zoning change, you can say there's precedent on the block.
Yeah. Yep, absolutely. Yep. So you can look up that property address. You can look. So I'm in 410. So I've obviously gone too far. So maybe it wasn't November. Maybe this might have been, September, October. But you can actually look online, find the actual zoning variation that they went through, and all the information as to what they requested and what they applied for was on here. And then you can also see whether that was approved or denied.
Awesome. Good stuff. Samuel, ton of value here. Mark, we ready to wrap? We got a Chicago fact?
Yep, we're ready to wrap. We are playing for Jason Tipson. And Jason, if myself or Samuel gets this question right, you get a $50 gift card brought to you by today's guest, which is Pavlovcik Architecture Inc. So I was afraid I was going to butcher that. I think you did. It out.
By the way, leave us a review so we can mention your name on the show. We'll play for $50 for you. All right.
Yes.
So today's question, Samuel just moved his team to a nice office right on the edge of River North. So we got a River North question for you. So Albert Friedman was a Chicago real estate developer. He came up with the name River North to shake off the reputation as a rough district and become a place where people would seek inspiration. So before being referred to as River North, that area of Chicago was previously known as White Plains, Smoky Hollow, Manufactured Mart, the Abandoned Art District. What was it known as before it became referred to as River North?
I'll call it Manufacturing Mart. That's what I'll call it.
All right, Samuel, what do you want to go with?
Give me the list one more time, because I've seen it named Shantytown.
White Plains, Smoky Hollow, Manufactured Mart, O'Bannon's Art District.
We'll go with Smoky Hollow.
So you bailed Mark out. It is Smoky Hollow. Mark, you were correct in thinking that it was called Smoky Hollow because of all the smoke coming out there.
Ah, man. All right.
I tricked you because the merchandise mart's there, so I kind of tricked you there.
Yeah, no, that's where I was going with it. Figuring the whole neighborhood was named after that building, but we have to look that up. But Jason Tipson, you got $50 gift card brought to you by Pavlovcik Architecture Inc. So thank you, Tom. Samuel, thanks for coming on. I think what we'll do is we'll link this video onto the page where you download the zoning cheat sheet, and that'll be awesome. And listeners, also go straight up Chicago Investor. You could revert back to our previous episode with Samuel. I'm not sure, Tom, you could check that
97.
out. 97. Bam. I knew you were on top of it. And you can download it there. Also, check out Samuel's on our Build Your Team. Check out him and all the other awesome vendors we have on there. So, Tom, thank you. Samuel, thank you for coming back. And listeners, we'll see you Thursday.
Thanks a lot, guys.
Thanks all.